There are nations that don't have half the resources that we have, and these nations are able to feed themselves. A lot of our farmers still operate at highly subsistence level. We're not as open-minded to adopt technology as we should. At 500 naira to the dollar today, you can almost imagine what level of investment and financial outlay would be required to provide a full end-to-end logistics service for an agricultural business. So if you want to feed 200 million people, we've got to be a bit more innovative and strategic and learn and borrow technology from all over the world. Primary producers along the value chain at the bottom of the pyramid produce fresh products, farm produce, name it. And the moment they need to move them to the farm, what tends to happen is there's an infrastructure deficit there. An infrastructure is not necessarily just roads and power. Those are a component. But then to bring fresh produce like this to the city, you need refrigerated trucks. The average reefer 1 ton today in Nigeria is 7 going on 10 million naira. The average farmer in Nigeria can't afford that level of investment, so they will depend on middlemen to come and buy the produce of them at the farm gate, or they would also try to pay transporters to help them bring them to the open market. And in the process, a lot of deterioration occurs. So when we say, what aren't we doing right? We do not have basic infrastructure right, you know. You see people like Fullman. That was an investment, but that investment today, I'm not even sure where it stands. We had people processing cocoa like Dimeji Owofemi, who set up Multitrex and ran into a financial quagmire, and he couldn't get out of it. There's so many things that are not right with our system here. You're in a society where citizens provide everything literally for themselves to a large extent. For those who know and try venture, they're frustrated. They're spending so much money firing their equipment on diesel, whereas they could have been plugged into some power source that would, they're off-the-grid solution. There's so many things. Again, we can't run governance, we can't run our nation based on these current and old rules. We've got to change. Something has got to give. Many of us in this space have had to really fight through the tides to stay afloat in business. And I think that's where it's the challenge of not being able to, in some cases, do the hard work. In some cases, some people just don't have the knowledge of the opportunities that abound, and so they can't take it up. For some people, it's a liquidity or financial resource challenge because some of them are ventured, but they can't even scale. And then there's also probably in some other cases, financial literacy and business management gap that makes it difficult for some people to move from one point of the level of their operation to scaling. So it's a cocktail of all of these issues that impact our food waste.
The challenge of food sufficiency in Nigeria is indeed an irony. Nigeria has a landmass that is waiting to be cultivated.
We have land, all right, but we need to be able to put in the skill set that would allow us utilize the land. So land is one large resource we have. People is another resource we have. What we need is a good marriage of both resources, and then we leverage that for productivity. But as it stands, we're not utilizing the land adequately because many people come into agriculture when primary producers or farmers retire into agriculture. It's only in recent times that we started finding young, upwardly mobile individuals venture into agribusiness. At Farmstead, a lot of our operators are still working based on traditional knowledge. We're far from being fully mechanized. So yes, we may have land, but have we created an environment that allows people to harness the utilization of the land resource? So government has got to provide that. States, and by government, I'm not necessarily referring to just federal government, because everybody's mind primarily goes to federal government. There's local government, which is where farming takes place at the grassroots, local government. So we've got to find that coherence in the operations and interrelations of all government organs and agencies.
Agriculture in Nigeria is one sector that has received a lot of attention from the government in terms of policy and investment.
Our policies are sorely inconsistent, so I don't know how that's going to navigate or gravitate into entirely stopping the food shortage. We need to be a bit more creative with our policies, and we need to be a bit more consistent. There's got to be that joint effort, collaborative effort from the private sector and public sector to ensure that we enhance productivity, to ensure that we build the capacity of our farmers, to also ensure that we provide resources as and when necessary. So until we begin to think about the greater good, until policies are focused on Nigerians, by Nigerians, for Nigerians, in a very coherent manner, we may not be able to eliminate food shortage. I hate to say this, but it's a hydra-headed monster that we have created around agricultural investments. The investments from different quarters. The state government is investing in agriculture. Federal government is investing in agriculture. The CBN is investing in agriculture. And when we get down to the roots, the bottom of the pyramid, you begin to ask questions. Where are these investments? For the volume of money or financial resource that has been allocated over the last 20 years in agricultural development, benchmark those financial investments against the output. We've done badly. We haven't done well. We could do better. There's room for great improvement. We've got to begin to be a bit more targeted in our investment as a nation, as a government, as a people. We can't just throw money at bad problems. Okay, we have wicked problems, but we can find strategic solutions for solving these wicked problems. And for me there's got to be a bit more depth and thought process going into the investment of government. It's very shallow and it's not consistent. So when COVID came, there were a few investment windows that the government announced. If we do an audit, if we do an objective audit today, 2020, what have we earmarked for agricultural development? How has that directly impacted our productivity? How has that impacted on the livelihoods of farmers? How has that impacted on the agric value chain in Nigeria? Is somebody tracking investment against impact? If we have those data right, we would realize that our government investment does not match the needs on ground. Agriculture is not rocket science. You don't just wave a magic wand and expect the problems to be solved.
In the midst of the realities of food shortage, the country needs to rethink its approach to food security.
We say that as a people in Nigeria, we want to avoid food scarcity. What do? We itemize the challenges, the gaps, and then we begin to work deliberately at it. If we had a system that allowed investment flow to be seamless, both from the private sector and public sector, what you will have is that we will galvanize resources in a manner that makes people make targeted investment. So we will have an effective rail system that will bring fresh produce to certain hubs, and then you will have the people providing land logistics service. Have cargoes embedded in some of those with the train rail service and provide those services along the line. What we currently have is a heavily fragmented system where the farmer produces or sources is transportation to bring his produce to market, and everything is just fragmented. And it's not rocket science. It's a refrigerated truck. It's having a cool hub where you put produce. It's setting up a structured retail market like we have, not the open market system that we currently have adopted and have used over the years. I mean, it's just getting more innovative, leveraging technology. But when you then want to bring in cold storage into your operations, the truth is that the cost of power today is almost going to sink most of the businesses. So it then impacts on the price at the bottom of the pyramid. How do you sell your produce when you generate your power, you provide your own cold chain facility, you provide your own warehousing, cold refrigerated warehousing? You're going to pass a lot of those costs to the consumers at the end of the day. There's got to be a mindset shift around how food should be delivered to consumers. We've got to begin to think out of the box as producers, as business owners, as investors, as a society. A large portion of the tomatoes and fresh produce we eat, for instance, come from the northern part of the country, and where they're all being moved by road, not by rail. And they're not being moved under the right conditions. Take, for example, we have a product here on the shelf, which is pureed tomato sauce. Now, if we can take tomato from the farm gate and ship a bulk of it to a standard processing factory where they would give us flavored blends, I'm sure people will opt for the ease of buying some nice tasty blend of tomato puree or peppered sauce versus constantly buying fresh produce. So we need to begin to educate our farmers, invest and find more people invest in storage, logistics. Again, we can't throw that out of the window. That's our current reality. We need to have a lot more investment around the dehydrated food. Our fruits can be canned, can be pureed, can be turned into syrups, can be converted into healthy snack options. Think about if you're filling a trailer, average trailer load today is 30 tons. Now, if you were going to dehydrate those same fruits, whether it's pineapple, mango, banana, you would, when the water content is taken out of it, you'll probably be left with maybe 5 to 8 tons. And just think of the sheer capacity to dehydrate that volume of fresh fruits or food and how that impacts on the cost of transportation, for example. You'll be spending half the cost on movement. And then you can then put dried fruits that have been vacuum bagged in a cargo box on a train as opposed to putting them in a truck on the highway.
A bulk of the work that needs to be done in the agri sector is making sure that many of these current challenges don't get passed on to the next generation of farmers.
We do have a number of new entrants, young persons, young professionals coming into the sector to change the paradigm. Unfortunately, that's not catching on as swiftly as it should because there's several barriers to entry again. So if you were going to start an agribusiness venture today, who and where are you going to go to that you can, a repository that you can get end-to-end information on how to get started and how to run your operations? You can't, we don't have a foolproof repository in any state. You don't have a one-stop shop that gives you end-to-end what your policy requirements are, what you need, levies you need to pay. You don't have it end-to-end. It's so fragmented.
Mosumola Umoro started a small business out of which has grown an initiative focused on helping a new generation of young people get interested in and successful at modern agriculture.
I am an unfolding story. The journey, even though I started off sourcing snails and supplying, my biggest client at the time required that I gave them more products, and the chicken was one of them, and getting the right size for their production, because they bought a range. They bought between 1.3 and 1.5, and they couldn't use anything. They didn't want anything more, and they didn't want anything smaller. And the farmers that I tried to buy from at the time just couldn't keep up with providing that size consistently all year round. So I had to do a backward integration into primary production. And that's how it began. And then I tried my first hand on my first 1,000 birds. Oh, that was an emotional experience. I almost didn't want to sell the chickens. They suddenly felt like a part of my life, like pets that I just wanted to see every day and go to every... But I ended up calling the birds and selling them. And then that grew from 1,000 birds to them breeding about 5,000. And then my demand rose as I went along to clients wanting a ton, 5 tons, and that's how the journey began. And fast forward to now, I have also seen more opportunities beyond the poultry value chain to fresh produce, to the fact that I couldn't even find workers for my farm. That birthed a totally different ministry for me, or assignment, where I then thought that it was important not only to train my own workforce, but to begin to invest in other people. And by my 30th birthday, I started an initiative called Abira Agribusiness. And so out of the proceeds from my business, I will constantly, every year, invest in mentoring, in coaching, in building the capacity of other people who wanted to venture in that space. And that has evolved into large corporate organizations like FCMB, appointing me as coach and mentor for their women business owners in the food and agribusiness space. Nation building is the role of both government and citizens. And what initiatives like Abira does within communities is that they're able to work at very grassroots level, a very granular level, able to interact with people that a lot of the government agencies and initiatives may not be able to reach. So one of the things that we've done over time is identify aspiring young entrepreneurs or unemployed young graduates, and in some cases not graduates, and take them through an educational program, a capacity building program, work with other agencies to teach them how to set up and start their own ventures. In some cases, how to be farm managers, because one of the challenges that I experienced, which was what led to setting up Abira or starting Abira, was the fact that we did not lack people. We lacked skilled manpower. So the people who were available were not skilled enough for the roles that were available along our value chain and along our operations. So one of the things that we been working on is skills conversion for young people. So are you a graduate? You have some qualification. We can help you harvest and harness your current skill set to be best suited for a role in the ag business space. So we take someone who is an engineer, for example, and teach him how to drive a tractor. We look at someone who is also an engineer and say that you can be a cold chain management specialist. So you go and learn how to actually build a cold room or maintain a cold room or a refrigerated truck, or you become a tractor mechanic. You know, there's so many opportunities along the value chain, from primary production all the way up to processing and packaging and retailing and distribution and prepping the food for consumption directly. Some of the people that we've worked with run their own businesses today, and they create jobs and employment for people. We have a few products here in the store that some of them are from some of my mentees, you know, and that gives me joy. And outside Lagos, some of the people that our organization and I have also worked with training over the years are running interesting businesses. Some, yes, albeit at micro scale, but very impactful. We're contributing to the economy, where they're creating jobs. It impacts on their livelihoods, it impacts on their outlook to life. You know, when people go through training, because I've paid it forward on many fronts by supporting such initiatives, I've seen lives transformed beyond what you can quantify in words. When someone comes to you and say, oh, before the training, I didn't even know that I could make this. I didn't know that I could create this. I didn't know that I could produce this. We have many women producing spices, packaged spices. We have many women making juices and drinks. We have many women in one of the organizations that we worked with in the north producing yogurt. You know, you have the women just coming to their own. You know, a housewife. She used to be a housewife, but then she takes on this training, and then she becomes a business owner, and she becomes a manufacturer, and then she becomes the breadwinner, and she becomes an income earner, and before you know it, she's an employer. And you know, by the time she becomes an employer, she begins to think about scaling, and then she's now concerned about the number of lives that she's impacting, and then she's an inspiration, a full-blown inspiration herself, and then she has a new story that is being told, and it's just very exciting to see how that transformational process evolves.
The Abira Agribusiness Mentorship Initiative is bridging the gap in a critical aspect of Nigeria's agriculture. But more importantly, it is preparing the human resource that would open opportunities for future growth.
Many people pray, God bless me. Right now, what do I have in my hands? Nothing. When you keep praying, God bless nothing, then God will multiply nothing for you, and you will have abundant nothing. But we have something. Let's harness and harvest something. Let's take the land. Let's till the soil. Let's plant. Let's process. Seed time and harvest time will never cease for those who put in the work. So it's time to begin to understudy the sector and plug in, because there are enormous opportunities along varying value chains that people can plug in. It's logistics, it's primary production, it's seed production, it's packaging, it's distribution, it's processing, it's retailing. The opportunities are enormous.